Welcome to the Event Connection, where we explore the stories, trends, and unforgettable moments that are shaping our industry. We'll uncover the human side of events and celebrate the power of engagement and connection, all while having a little fun. This podcast is produced by PC Nametag.
Welcome back to the EventConnection podcast. Here today, it's me, Brooke, and Meaghan, so the usual suspects, and we're going to do something fun today. So we figured since it's the end of the year, 2026 is coming up, a lot of people are kind of thinking about professional development goals, how they want to kind of expand in their career in the upcoming year. So we wanted to share our favorite professional development podcasts, books, and other categories. But we wanted to make it a little bit more fun. There's this YouTube channel I watch called Watcher where they do top fives. I think it's called Top 5 Beatdown. And they take turns revealing their top 5 of some kind of like random subject, like fast food restaurant, something like that. We're going to do that same thing, but for our podcast, books, and that kind of thing. But Meaghan and I don't know what each other put down. So it'll be kind of fun.
It'll be a surprise.
Yeah, we'll get to reveal what we got over the course of the episode. So I think we're just gonna like get right into it.
Yeah, let's do it. I'm excited to see what you wrote, and maybe we'll have some that match, and maybe we won't.
Yeah,
but that's the fun of it.
I feel like I can think of a couple where we'll definitely match, but
we'll see.
Yeah, we'll definitely have some that are different. I think we're gonna start with podcasts.
All right, let's do it.
Yeah.
So I think we'll go from 5 to 1. Does that sound good?
Yeah, let's do that.
Okay,
let's
go ahead. You can do your first.
Right. See, you made like little tabs so you can more easily pull the pages.
Yeah. So we did this like the sketchiest way possible if you can't see on screen. So we have these whiteboards with these pull-off paper tabs. So yeah, we'll see if it is legible. We'll see if it works.
We're hoping that like the whiteboard marker didn't remove any of the marker underneath. So we'll see. Okay, my number 5 is the Amy Porterfield Show.
Okay, I don't listen to that one. Tell me about it.
So Amy Porterfield does a marketing podcast. It's very much geared towards like entrepreneurship. So it's really good. It's been going for quite a couple years now. She posts weekly, and it's just if you're interested in maybe starting your own business, it's great. She's very fun and funny. She's like a keynote speaker too, so she's very entertaining. Yeah, so I would definitely say whether you're an event planner or marketer or anything like that, it's very useful. She also has great guests on the show from time to time too.
Very cool.
Yeah.
I will go with my number 5. Let's see how my pullaways do. So for my number 5, I did the Mel Robbins podcast. I've heard really great things from many people about this, and I'm a little bit newer to podcasts, so this is just something that I kind of took up listening to this year. But the Mel Robbins podcast, I think a lot of people identify with the let them theory.
I was going to say,
I think that really applies to event planners, and not everything is in your control. And sometimes things aren't going to go the way that you think they will. You can do all the planning in the world, but sometimes, things just don't go to plan. So I think that's a good thing to apply to event planning, but also they just cover a lot of different topics. So if you just want to learn something new, it's a good place to start.
For sure. Yeah, she's like blown up this year.
Yeah, I love it.
That's a good one. All right, let's figure out what my number 4 is. Epic Events. So Epic Events is by VFairs, and the CEO of VFairs, so I should keep this held up for a little bit. The CEO of VFairs basically interviews different event planners or event professionals every episode, and they talk about like every topic that you can really imagine. So some of the more recent episodes, they talked about event engagement and different technology solutions, obviously a lot about AI. And Mohammed is the host. He's the CEO of VFairs, so he's in every episode, but then it's a kind of rotating cast of different event professionals. So a lot of different types of events they talk about. And it's really interesting.
Sweet. All right. Let's see what I went with for number 4. Okay, this is a new one that I've been listening to. It's called The Elephant in the Org. And this one is by a new event planner that I've been collaborating with. Her name is Greer Prosick. And this is all about disability inclusion in the workplace and at events. So I have been liking listening to that because I think disability inclusion is really important in the event space. And if you're looking for a resource on that you can trust, I would definitely recommend listening to that one.
That's awesome. I love the name of that too. That's like,
yeah, it's like
very
talking about,
memorable.
like the elephant in the room. And sometimes I think in the event planning space, people are afraid to say the word disability, but like, let's talk about it. It's something that we need to do. It's not just, a nice to have. It's an expectation.
Yeah, absolutely. Also, I just realized that you wrote on paper and put it on
I
the
did,
whiteboard,
because I was
which-
afraid that the marker was
Yeah.
going to rub off. So
That
yeah,
was a
as you can
smart
see,
idea.
we're trying our best here. We're doing
I
it
did
on a
not
budget.
do that. Yeah, so I am a little worried that some of them, but so far so good. These
Yeah.
they don't look too bad.
Very nice handwriting, Brooke.
Thanks. I try my best. All right, let's look at what number 3 was. I forgot what I put for some of these, so it's even a surprise to me. Number 3 is Event Explorer. So this one's actually really cool. It's kind of similar to VFairs, the Epic Events one. But the Event Explorer, they really do deep dives into very unique events. So again, it's the same host every time, but then they bring on an event coordinator, event manager of sometimes it's a music festival. Sometimes I was listening to an episode the other day, and it was called the Sea Witch Festival. It's like a
Ooh.
Halloween.
I'm about that.
Yeah, just interesting events. I think there was a hot air balloon festival that they talk about the things that go wrong and the things that they didn't think to account for and had to, the unique things about that event that they have to plan that you wouldn't normally think about. So that one's super fun too. Very unique. Would highly recommend.
I kind of like when event planners talk about the things that didn't go right or the things that they just didn't think about, because we've all been there. Things just really did not go right. So it's good to feel that other people experience that as well.
Yes, agreed.
Should we go to my number 3 podcast? Events Demystified. I love this one. I think this one's a great one because it talks about event technology, but Anka, she does a really good job of talking about a wide variety of different event subjects. And we actually had our event director on one of the podcast episodes. It was about how to do marketing on a budget. So if you look up Nicole Jacobson and the Events Demystified podcast, you can find that episode. But I love that Anka has a whole bunch of different podcast guests on there. So chances are, if you want to learn something, they probably have an episode about it.
That's awesome. All right. My number 2. Okay, I remember this one. This one is a fun one. 2 promoters, 1 pod. So this one is actually pretty popular. But it's 2 festival promoters. So they're both from the UK. I think one's English and one's either Scottish or Irish, but they both are the festival directors for 2 different rock metal festivals in the UK. One is called Damnation, and I can't remember the name of the other one. But they're very funny. So they just talk about all things festivals and festival promoting and other entertainment events too. They're very explicit. They swear a lot. So if that's an issue for you, maybe don't tune in. But they're just very, very goofy and very well informed on their craft. So highly recommend for anyone, especially if you're in entertainment event planning, but also just anyone. It doesn't even matter if you're in events at all. I think they're super entertaining. So
I love that.
yeah.
All right, let's see what my number 2 is. Beyond the BEO. This is a newer podcast that I started listening to, and I feel like this one's a really good all-encompassing event podcast. And I started listening to some episodes, and I feel like if there's something that you need to learn about, they also, chances are that they've done an episode on it. And I think they really do a good job of diving deeper into different event planning subjects. And there's a whole bunch of episodes. So if you are someone who likes to tune in, every week, or, you like to listen regularly, I think Beyond the BEO is a great one to start with.
Awesome. Okay. My number 1.
Okay, let's go.
I feel like you're going to know what it is. It is the Do This, Not That podcast.
Yes. I listen to this on the regular.
Same.
I love it.
Yeah. So this is Jay Schwedelson's podcast. If you've listened to our podcast before, we talk about him quite frequently. So he is one of the founders of Guru Media. They do a lot of events, and he kind of started as a marketing, email marketing mostly. But now it's kind of just all things marketing. They talk about events a lot more now since Guru kind of got more into event planning. And it's just very entertaining. It's also pretty quick. They post frequently, and they're very short episodes. Sometimes they'll bring someone on to interview. Those episodes are a little bit longer, but I like to kind of save up and then listen to them all at once. And they're just very entertaining too. Like Jay's just entertaining to listen to. He'll tell goofy stories and talk about The Bachelor and stuff like that. So
I love it.
yeah, you get a lot of information and you're also staying entertained. So you pay
It
attention.
almost feels like Inception. We're talking about our favorite podcast on a podcast.
I know, right?
I love it.
I know. We should put that
Obviously,
as
our
a-
number one is the Event Connection, but we've got to pick
That's a
our other
given.
favorites.
Yeah.
So I'm going to go with a fun one for my number one. For my number one, I went with the Sustainable Events Dog Walk. I don't know if you're familiar with this one, but
no.
this one is by a lady named Alicia Drube. And all she does, they're 10-minute episodes. They're really easy to listen to. And she walks her dog and she does a live podcast just talking about different tips for sustainable events. So I like that it's approachable. I love dogs. I'm a big dog person. And I think Alicia does a great job of making sustainable events exciting and easier to do than you might think.
Yeah, for
So.
sure. I'll have to tune into that one because that sounds great.
I think that was great. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm getting more into listening to podcasts, and I like that you can listen to them while you are cleaning or while you're going on a walk. So it's a great way to find that time, even if you're a super, super busy event planner. It's a great way to sneak in that learning
For sure.
during the week.
Yeah, and it's a little bit more fun to listen to a podcast than an audiobook, generally speaking.
I would agree.
Entertaining. For sure. I think next we're going to move on to events to attend. Do you want to start
Oh.
with this one?
All right, let's do it. So we're going to talk about our favorite events. I'm going to go with my number 5 suggested event for the year. I went with Marketing Land for my event. So Brooke and I are marketers. So if you are an event marketer, I think this is a really great free virtual event to tune into. And they just talk about a whole bunch of different marketing related topics. And this is by the Marketing Millennials.
Mine is also Marketing Land.
I was kind of hoping we would agree on some.
For sure. Yeah, Marketing Land Festival. I think it is in October every year, and it's free to attend, like you said. And they also have different tracks for like brand marketing, creative, and demand generation. So that's kind of nice too. So you can kind of tune in and see what you're most interested in. If you're more looking to rebrand your event or looking to get more butts and seats, maybe the demand track's better for you. So
Yeah, lots of different options.
mm-hmm.
All right, I'm curious if we will align on any other things. All right, number 4 for me is actually your local MPI events. I would say this is really a great resource to take advantage of. I know the MPI Wisconsin chapter events. I love them. They're great. They're affordable. And you can meet event professionals in your area and make connections that way and build your LinkedIn. So if you haven't taken advantage of your MPI events, I would recommend them.
Definitely. I just went to one a couple weeks ago, and it was great. They had a great speaker.
Yeah, the agenda is always great. They have
Mhm.
great speakers, great lunch, and I really think they do a great job of bringing people together.
Yeah, absolutely. Awesome. I like it. All right. My number 4 is the Guru Email Marketing Conference.
Yes.
This one.
That's a must every year.
I agree. Again, this is another free virtual conference. It's 2 days long, generally speaking, unless they change it, but usually in November. And this is, again, Jay Schwedelson's group. Guru, they put this on, and they just have such good speakers. They usually have some really fun keynotes too. Like they've had Sarah Jessica Parker, Martha Stewart in the past. So some like big names. And it's not like just email marketing. Even if you're not super invested in email marketing, there's so much just like good general,
Good vibes.
yeah, good vibes and good advice for all marketers, event planners, entrepreneurs. It's a very fun event. And they always like, even if you're not into event marketing or into email marketing, I think just seeing the way that they put on this event and the fun stuff that they make happen in a virtual setting is makes it worth it, because it's just very impressive. So
A little quick tip that I like that the Guru events do is they have breakout sessions, and to encourage you to log into the breakout sessions and stay and chat with people, they will donate to charity for how many people show up. And I think if you stay on the networking session for like 10 minutes, they donate a certain amount of money. And I think recently they donated to cancer research, and they donated a ton of money for that. So you can make a difference with that. And any event planner could do that for a virtual event.
yeah, absolutely. It's awesome.
All right, my number 3 event is NACE Experience. I went to NACE Experience recently, earlier this year, and it was a great experience. I'm not specifically catering person, but I thought it was really cool to learn about the events industry and the weddings industry and catering trends. And I think in 2026 it's going to be in New Orleans. So why would you pass that up? So I just thought that it was really well done, and the after hours events were great, and it was very engaging for what the ticket price was.
I've heard great things about NACE, so I would love to go to that one. All right. My number 3 is social media marketing world.
I love it.
Social media
I haven't been to that one, but I really want to.
I haven't been to it either. It's always one that's been on my, like wish list of events. I end up going to Inbound usually, but social media marketing world is pretty much all the best of the best social media marketers are there. And I think it would have so much value to an event planner, because we know that event planners are kind of expected to do so much more than just planning now. They're expected to do the marketing themselves, or at least help with the marketing. And social media is obviously such a huge part of that. And sometimes it can be super overwhelming to really know how to promote your event on social media. I think this is just kind of a given.
I think having social media experience is good for anybody.
Yeah. And it's nice to hear from the experts, because there's just so many different takes on it that,
And even if you don't do social media specifically, just being able to get those skills, it can kind of help you think about, how could I repurpose this on social media?
Yeah, absolutely.
My number 2 event, Connect Spring Marketplace.
Nice.
I've been to this a few times, and I feel like it's really, really fun to be able to go to all the different booths. And I feel like they do a good job of having like surprise and delight moments there. Like one that I went to, they had a skateboarder that was just doing tricks back and forth on a ramp, and it was just fun. I think they've had pickleball. I just feel like there's a lot of creative things that you can experience there.
Yeah.
They also had a kind of like bubbly water machine. So if you didn't just want to have flat water, I felt like it was a fun way to hydrate, and you could pick your flavor and your bubbliness level.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, we're bringing some new fun things to hydration here.
For sure. I just was reminded, because you bumped your microphone a little bit. I feel like we've done that a couple times already. If you can count how many times we bump our microphones on this one, because we're holding up these signs, send us an email at EventConnection.com, just EventConnection.com, and we'll send you a prize.
Sounds good. Let's do it. I'll try not to bump it too much.
Oh, it's bound to happen. All right. My number 2 is the Experiential Marketing Summit. This is another one that I have not been to, but I think it looks really cool. It's in Vegas every year, and they just like go all out with I assume every year. I think for the last couple of years it's been in Vegas. But they go all out with like experiential marketing and different ideas that you can do at your exhibits, and just different ways to get people super involved and excited about your events. So I think it's a very like aspirational, go there to get excited about ideas and things like that. So
Sweet. All right. My number 1 event is Eventastic. And if you've listened to this podcast, you know that we are Eventastic
nerds,
fans. Yeah. So I feel like Brooke can also attest to this. We went to Eventastic earlier this year, and I felt like there was a lot of really great programming. There are a lot of big names in the event space, and PC Name Tag is a sponsor. So
yes,
I think there's a lot of opportunities to learn, but also it's a free virtual event. So if you are on a limited budget, it's a good learning opportunity.
For sure. And they have so many great speakers, like a lot of really good speakers in the event world. And they do, again, just really cool things. It's similar to the Guru Email Marketing Conference, where they'll pull things off that you're just like, how do you even do this in a virtual setting? Like they had skydivers. The intent was to have them answer live questions. It ended up not panning out because of the weather. But the fact that was even going to happen,
they made it work, though.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome.
Well, and just even the intrigue, it's like, well, I want to tune into that. So it got more and more people on just to see that fun surprise and delight moment.
Yeah, super fun. All right, my number 1, I already mentioned it, but it's Inbound. Inbound.
Agree. That one's a good one.
Yeah, it is a good one. This is the HubSpot annual conference. So this past year, it was in San Francisco, but they're going back to Boston, which is where it normally is, in 2026. This past year was actually the first time that they really focused on event marketers. Like it was the first time they had a meetup of event marketers there. And they also brought in Dalia El-Ghazar, and she did a whole presentation geared towards event planning and event marketers. So I think that went over really well. Like her session was very well attended. I think the meetup went really well. So I think they're going to bring even more event related content to next year. So I think, don't think of it as just a marketing conference. It's definitely a good one for event planners as well. So, and I really like it. I usually go most years and it's a great conference.
Love it. I've been to that once, but I'd love to go again in the future.
Yes.
Boston's such a great city too. I love the historical sites that you can visit.
Yeah, it's great. They have such good food too. If you're into clam chowder or
I tried my first ever lobster roll in Boston. I feel like, yeah, you gotta, get a legit lobster roll while you're there.
Absolutely. All right. Our next one is influencers.
Oh.
Did you go first last time? I can go first.
Yeah, you can go ahead.
Okay. My number 5, and these really aren't in much of an order because they're all great. But this is David Stevens. So David Stevens is part of Club Ichi. He also is a co-founder of Olympian Events, and he's very into wellness. I felt like I wanted to get someone in this group that is into that because that's such an important thing for event planners. So he is very into fitness, but also just encouraging others to bring wellness activities into their own events. Actually, at IMEX, his group had, I believe it's called the Circadian Cove. I wasn't at IMEX, but
it looked amazing.
Yeah, so it wasn't kind of like a wellness lounge, but not really a wellness lounge because it was a lot more like active, encouraging people to do different wellness activities every day and just make sure they're staying, engaged and active. And I just think, that's so important. So
I love a good wellness activity at a conference.
Yeah, absolutely, for sure. And he is also a keynote speaker and, talks a lot about that. So he's, an expert in the field, I would say. So definitely follow him if you're interested. I think he talks about sustainability a lot too. So
cool. I also want to say I have a top 5 list, but I would say these aren't in necessarily order from 1 to 5. These are all people that I love. So for my number 5 influencer, I went with Naomi Tucker, CMP, CMM. And Naomi is like, if you need to know anything about the CMP, go to Naomi. And I went to CMP 101 event that Naomi put on at a recent event that was in Madison. And I feel like she did a really great job of understanding what goes into earning your CMP, what are the different things that you need to do to study. And she's just a really great resource if you are thinking about getting your CMP or you want to make sure that you're staying up to date on everything that you need to keep your title. She's a great resource.
Awesome. My number 4 is Tess Vismail, and I am not 100% sure on the pronunciation, so
we may butcher some names. We're trying our best.
I think it's Vismail, but she's awesome. So she's very into event technology. She has it's a CMP. I think she's been in the industry for about 30 years, so she's very seasoned, but she's very up to date on event technology and like emergency situations that come up in events. That's what she's kind of known for, is like the emergency event specialist. So if something goes wrong, she can help you solve it. So very good person to be following. And she is super awesome and fun too, if you listen to her speak.
Love that. I haven't followed her, but seems like someone I should connect with.
Yeah, she's awesome.
For my number 4 influencer, I went with Nancy Harhut. I love her. She's
Nancy.
Great. Yes, I saw Nancy speak at the Content Marketing World, and she kind of focuses on different psychological ways that you can utilize. Behavioral psychology tips that you can utilize in your marketing and your events to help appeal to people and kind of get the results that you're looking for. And she does it in a really fun way. She talks about, different fallacies and different theories. And it's just a fun way to tie science into your event.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I love Nancy. She always is, like, everyone loves her. But I've been trying to see her at Inbound for like 3 years in a row, and her sessions always immediately. I finally got to see her last time because they put her in like a bigger room. Like, thank you. Finally, it's about time. But yeah,
I got to take a picture with her at Content Marketing World. I was like, am I a celebrity? Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I think you are. I think like legally you are now. Okay, my number 3, this is a surprise to no one, is Jay Schwedelson. I feel like there's nothing else to really say. Jay is amazing. And I think he really has stretched into event content this year, since they have so much experience now with planning events after Eventastic and Guru. So I think in the past, he's been kind of considered more email marketing influencer. That's like his specialty, and it still is. But he has a lot of really interesting and insightful knowledge about events now too. So I would say definitely follow him. Yeah, on the up and up for sure.
Love it. Yeah. Guru is always doing the next best thing. So if you want a good influencer for events, definitely recommend following Guru. For my number 3 influencer, she's sticking a little bit. I went with Robin Shear. She is a TEDx speaker, and she focuses on how to bring joy to your life. And I think if you need some positivity in your life, Robin is like the best person that you can go to for that. So I know event planning can be very stressful, and sometimes you get down on yourself like, oh, well, that didn't go the way that I wanted. Like I'm feeling really bad. I think Robin has good tips to kind of reset yourself and realize that, hey, I'm doing the best that I can. And, maybe we just need a little bit more joy in the world. Maybe it's not, the worst thing that could happen.
For sure.
Definitely recommend following Robin.
Awesome. I love Robin. All right. My number 2 is Julius Solaris. We all know
an OG.
Julius.
Yes, we love it.
Yeah, I think he's like the most followed event influencer on LinkedIn, at least that I follow. But he's the co-founder or founder of Bold Push. And he is just like the most knowledgeable person about events. He goes to all events. He has a great newsletter that he sends out weekly with all the stuff that he's seeing. And he's really not afraid to post like more hot takes, which I really appreciate.
Me too.
Yeah, I remember him a couple months ago posted something about how he's sick of seeing puppies at events, which was a very controversial take. Based on the
yeah, I'm sure there were comments. Yeah.
But I agree with his, I think it was a good point because he was talking about how it's not necessarily good for the puppies and it can be like a little distracting and it's just, you see it a lot. So he's all about like coming up with new ideas and doing something that is a little bit more unexpected. So he's a great person to follow. Absolutely. I'm sure most people probably already are, but just in case.
Love it. He did a post about how Gen Z is less likely to drink alcohol at events. And I think that was a really good conversation about, hey, maybe soda isn't the go-to for non-alcoholic drinks anymore. And people were giving suggestions of what they're doing at their events. So that's another example of research that his company has done to kind of talk about the state of the industry and what your attendees actually want.
Yeah, there's always like really good conversations in the comments on all of his posts because so many people follow him and they have a lot of really good insight for sure.
My number 2 influencer is Lane the Auctionista. Ooh. I don't know if you're familiar with them, but I just love the concept of charity auctioneering, which is very cool. And Lane specializes in that. Also an MC. So I'm not sure if you're familiar with charity auctioneering, but it's, getting up in maybe like a nonprofit event and getting people really excited to donate to a good cause. And Lane has a lot of really great tips for how to keep your attendees engaged and to help raise money for charity.
Awesome. Love that. All right. My number 1 is Dalia Algazar. I didn't even look. I knew she was there.
You're like, I know. She's my number 1.
I know she's my number 1. Dalia is just awesome. She is so just engaging. I think she's like her persona just suits the events industry so much. She's like bubbly, fun, just knows how to get people engaged in either a professional development, presentation that she's doing. Anything that she does is super engaging. And she always brings great stickers and merch and stuff like that. She's always like dressed super bright and fun. I don't know. She's just great. She's kind of, we just did an episode about a couple months ago about in 2026, making sure you're making your attendees' eyes light up. And she's the one who kind of like championed that concept. And I just think, she's always at the forefront of what event planners can kind of try to do in their events to make them stand out and make people want to come back again and again. So definitely follow Dalia. She
does some fun hot takes too. So
she does, yeah.
I like, hearing different perspectives about things. Yeah. All right. My number 1 influencer that I went with is Devin Pasha, CMP CED. And Devin was a speaker earlier this year at IMEX, which is really cool. And she talks all about event design tips. And I think she kind of dives a little bit deeper than just your surface level. Think about your colors, think about the lighting. And we've done some collaborations with Devin, and I think she just has a lot to offer. And she Also really loves PC name tags. So that's another another highlight for
thing
us.
that really matters,
She
honestly.
brought her daughter recently to one of the events that she went to, and her daughter was like so inspired, like, oh, this is what the events industry is like. I want to be there. I want to be an event planner when I'm older. So I thought that was just a cool moment to see this is the next generation or maybe next few generations of event planners and getting them interested in the industry.
Okay. And then last, we are going to talk about our favorite professional development books. I'm going to use that loosely because not all of mine are professional development books. Meaghan and I are both like pretty avid readers. So actually, instead of revealing these, we brought the books with us. So we're going to just show the books. There's one that I don't have with me, but I'll still talk about it. Do you want me to go first?
All right, go ahead.
Okay. I actually have an honorable mention. This one, I feel like it doesn't count as a book because it's literally just like color schemes. It's really cool.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah. So this is called A Dictionary of Color Combinations. It's like a Japanese book. This is actually volume 2. There's volume 1 as well. And it's really cool. So there's just a lot of like unique color combinations. I think it's a really fun thing if you're into branding and graphic design, or if you're looking to, again, rebrand. I kind of found it on TikTok through like the fashion community because they were talking about creating outfits based on like these different color combinations. But you could totally do that with like your logo or any of your like branding materials. So
I love that.
Yeah, just kind of an honorable mention.
Finding some event decor, trying to figure out what would be the vibe. I kind of like that.
Yeah, and they're like very unique color combinations, and there's like hundreds of them in here. And if you have one color that you do want to use, there's also like an index in the back. So you could be like, we know we want to use like this color that's in our logo, but what colors look good with this color? I really like it. So it's been very fun. But then my like actual number 5 is a book called Set Boundaries, Find Peace by Nedra Glover Tawwab. She is a psychiatrist. I just think this, for event planners who we all know are stressed and doing a million things at once and get asked a lot of questions and asked to do a lot of things, this is a very good book for telling you how to kind of vocalize your own boundaries and what your limitations are. So if you're experiencing burnout or just overwhelm, which, many people are, this is a really good book to pick up and a good book to come back to like time and time again. Because she talks about like cognitive behavioral therapy and like legitimate tactics, it's not so much like high level, like she gets into the weeds a little bit. So I really like it.
Very cool. For my number 5 book, I went with The Inside Innovator by Lewis Gump. And I saw Lewis Gump speak earlier this year, and he kind of talks about leadership and working together in a group. But I think my favorite thing about this book is it taught me that you're doing better than you think you are. It's like, oh, well, I'm not a leader. I wish I could learn more about that. But I think one of the biggest things that I took away from this book is that sometimes if you're too close to a problem, if you take a step back and kind of look at it from a different lens, you can really realize different solutions. It's like when you are looking for your glasses, I can't find my glasses and they're on your head. Or it's like, I can't find my car keys and they were in your pocket the whole time.
Oh yeah, that's me every day.
Yeah. So I think this book kind of walks you through if you're too close to a problem that you're trying to problem solve with your events, maybe take a different lens to it.
Perfect. My next one is called How to Keep House While Drowning by Casey Davis. Again, not really a professional development book. This is more for like your personal life, but this book was like life-changing for me, I feel like, because I am someone who does kind of easily get burnt out and overwhelmed because I tend to take on a lot. And again, this is something that's very common with event planners. And in that regard, then your home life can also kind of feel messy. And I know when I have like a messy house, I feel like my brain's messy. Mm-hmm. And it can just be overwhelming to feel like you're in that kind of situation. So Casey Davis, she has ADHD, and so she talks a lot about methods that have helped her, but I think it can help anyone regardless. And just talking about simple ways to like make your home work for you. And it doesn't matter if it's not the most neat, organized way to do it. If it works for you, that's what matters. And if it's clean and it helps free up your brain space, then that's what's most important.
I need that.
Yeah, I would. If you want to borrow it, I would recommend it. It's really good. And it's a short little book. If you're not watching and you can't see it, it's only like maybe 150 pages and it's small. So highly recommend.
Brooke has like a whole library and she like has all her books like listed out in a spreadsheet. Like we are serious about our books here.
We are. I have so many books and so many books that I haven't read. It's like a problem, but
It's a good problem though.
yeah, it is.
My next book that I wanted to share was called Create Once, Distribute Forever, and it's by Ross Simmons. So this book talks about the idea of content repurposing, and I think that applies to events because you work so hard getting all these pictures, taking video, creating downloadables, doing write-ups of different breakout sessions. What do you do with those things after you put so much work and heart into all of these things? So I like this book because it talks about how to get the most out of the great things that you create for your events.
Awesome. My number 3 book I actually don't have because I listened to it on audiobook, but it is called Range by David Epstein. I think the subtitle is Why Generalists Thrive or Triumph in a Specialist's World. And I really love this book because he talks a lot about like the power of being kind of a jack of all trades, master of none. Because typically we think of that as kind of a negative thing. Like you need to specialize in something and get really good at a specific task or a specific role. But by being very knowledgeable on a lot of different things, you actually become like a better specialist in the long run. He talks about specifically like the story of like Tiger Woods kind of always being like kind of trained to be a really good golfer from the moment he was pretty much born. And he becomes, obviously a really good golfer, but that strategy doesn't necessarily work out for everyone. And many athletes who become really good played all the sports when they were little. And then eventually they found like their specialty, but they became good at that sport because they were good at all the other sports.
Right.
And I think that's kind of something that can relate to event planners too, because obviously you're doing just so many different tasks. And sometimes you might feel like, oh, I don't feel like I'm that good at like getting in contact with sponsors or something.
Mm-hmm.
But you're learning about everything by learning about all the other
That's right.
things.
That's
And
right.
You learn through experience and by talking to others in different roles and doing all the things. So it's really good. It's very like validating, I think, for people who are in that kind of role or situation for sure.
Sweet. My third book on my list is called Create in a Flash, and it's by Roger Firestein, PhD. And I have a whole bunch of Roger's books. I just love them. And these books are all about creative brainstorming, which I love. So one thing that I learned from this book is sometimes the problem that you think is the problem is not actually the problem. So again, sometimes we're so close to issues. It's like, well, I'm stuck here. I don't know how to move forward. But something that I've learned through Roger is start with the problem that you think is the problem. Usually it's kind of superficial, but if you keep asking, but why? And then from there, but why is that? But why is that? And you do that a few times, you tend to get through the root of the issue. So it's another way to kind of take a new lens at different problems that you might be having.
Awesome. I love that. Okay, this is where I went a little bit off the rails for my last 2.
I love it. Let's go.
So, okay, here's my thing. I'm not big. I read a lot of professional development books, but I always kind of feel like, and maybe it's because I do have ADHD, but I read them and I'm like, this is such great information. And then the second I like close the book, it's like the information just like falls out of my ears because it wasn't generally like super engaging. And I feel like I need to be entertained. I need like a story or I need like pretty pictures to kind of like make the information stick. And I am a big believer that fiction stories can still help in our professional lives and our personal lives. And so my top 2 books are actually fiction, both sci-fi books. So,
Ooh, I love it. Let's hear them.
yeah, but I think that they are still helpful. So we'll talk about it. So number 2 is the Murderbot Diaries series by
I haven't
Martha
heard of
Wells.
this one.
It's great. So it's about an android. He refers to himself as Murderbot. And he was built to kind of like serve humans, but he hacks his own governor module. So he has free will, essentially. So he's like an AI with free will, but he's generally good and he wants to do good and he wants to help humans still. But he also gets like very frustrated with humans and he kind of just wants to download all of the like television and media that he can and just watch that. So he gets like a little bit kind of like depressed and he's anxious, and it's just he's so human for not being a human character, and he's also like very good at his job, and he has to interact with so many different types of personalities, and it's told from his
That's
perspective.
totally event planning.
Yeah, exactly. That's why I was like, I feel like it's still relevant because it's you just experience him experiencing all these different scenarios and people, and he gets so frustrated with it. But you relate to him so much, and it's told from like first person perspective because it's like he's writing this diary. But yeah, I think it's super fun. Would highly recommend. Yeah. Also, there's a series on Apple TV now. The first season came out a couple months ago, so has Alexander Skarsgård in it. It's very good. So
I'll check it out.
Highly recommend.
My last two books are event planning specific, and I just love them. So my number 2 book is Meetings Mayhem by Terry Matthews Lombardo, CMP. And I just love this book because it talks about all the intricacies of event planning, but she makes them funny and entertaining. So it's like you're still learning something and you can identify with all these crazy things that we have to go through as event planners, but there's something that you can learn out of it. So Terry is very experienced in the events planning industry, and it's just fun to see what she's learned over the years. And some of them are just like, well, this completely did not go correctly. What did we do to kind of bounce back from it? So if you just want to talk a little bit about, what you do and learn about what other people, kind of go through, this is a good book for sure.
That's awesome. I feel like I've heard some of your stories that you read in that book.
The tagline is a humorous but factual look at the serious business of making meetings happen.
That's awesome. Okay, my number 1 book is called To Be Taught If Fortunate by Becky Chambers. And you can see I even have tabs in this one. This is another sci-fi book. So this is about 4 astronauts who Earth sends out into space to basically look for new habitable worlds. And they know that they're going out there and they're not coming back. And it goes through their experience of like the first world that they go to is very like lush and they're super excited about it. But then one of the next worlds is like very dark and they have a hard time like leaving because of these like aliens that get stuck to their ship. And then how like, I guess, dark and depressing that feeling is. But then afterwards, the next planet they go to isn't as exciting as the first planet, but they find like all the beauty in it, because they kind of came from like that dark experience. So I really like the way that it kind of just portrays that human experience and like the camaraderie between the main characters. This is another short one. I think it's under 200 pages, but like the amount of community that you feel between the main characters is just, I think, like emblematic of like where events need to be, especially with all the AI talk. Like what we really come back to is community. I actually had a specific quote I kind of wanted to read if you're okay with it.
Let's go. I'd love it.
Since I have it marked anyway. Okay, so again, these are all astronauts and they all have different specialties. So this is like the context of the quote. It says, "We were her lab techs during this time, and happily so. No astronaut is a pure specialist." So this kind of plays into the last one I was talking about. And no scientist works alone. To survey an ecosystem, you need to have a base understanding of all its factors. A biologist cannot draw conclusions without knowing how the oceans move and what the air is like. A meteorologist cannot study the composition of the atmosphere without knowing what's breathing into it. And me, I may be the engineer, but not only are my hands as good with a petri dish as anyone else's, but it helps me to know what my tools are being used for. I want to know. If each of us retreated into our own private dens of specialization, we'd be shooting ourselves in the foot. We benefit from knowing what the other is doing. Even Jack, who complained every day about the lack of rocks because he's the geologist.
That totally sounds like events. It's like,
right.
There's all these different moving parts that just miraculously end up working together, and you really can't do it alone. You need to lean on other people to help.
For sure. And you have to like kind of take an interest in what everyone else does too and build that community so that you all trust each other and you can kind of like flex into different places. So I just thought I think it's relevant to event planning. It may be a sci-fi book, but a sci-fi book can be a professional development book too.
Love it. Good number 1. And my number 1 is The Lucky Box Cutter by Sarah Gorlick, CMP. I think if you know someone who wants to get into the event planning, but they're, not sure if it's right for them, I think this book does a really good job of kind of showing what it means to start out in event planning. And, it's not going to be the smoothest transition ever. When you're a brand new event planner, you just don't know how things work. You don't know how to have that confidence in yourself. And Sarah gets pretty, open about her experiences and how she fell so many times, but then how did she kind of come back from those missteps and learn from it? So there's a lot of different lessons that you can learn, even if you're a beginner event planner, if you're an experienced event planner. I love that Sarah kind of dives into, event planning is imperfect, but we have a lot of fun with it and we do our best.
That's awesome. I know we've heard great things about Lucky Box Cutter, so it's amazing. Well, that is it for this episode. I feel like, and Megan and I were talking about this beforehand, but we both, again, love reading. So maybe it could be like a recurring segment that we do, like a book club, a mini book club, or what. I
think that'd be fun.
Yeah. So let us know if you enjoyed this format. If you have other ideas for event planning resources that you want us to share. There's so many of them. So obviously, again, we talked about 5 in each category, but there's so many other ones. So let us know if you have any ideas, and also tell us if you want us to start a book club, because I would love to.
Also, what would you add to some of our lists? Do you feel like we, missed someone that you would definitely want on your top 5? Let us know.
Absolutely. And you can reach us at EventConnection@pcnametag.com if you want to email us. And that is all we have for today. So
looking forward to what comes in the new year.
Yes, happy 2026 and happy planning.